Hey everyone, I want to talk to you today about some different ways we represent data. So here's the first one. It's called a box and whisker diagram. Now you'll notice we've got a set of numbers and they're in order. And in the last assignment, we talked about how to find the median, which is the middle number. Now it's really nice if you have an odd number of numbers because the middle number would just be the single number that's in the middle. But now we're going to take a look at the lower half of the numbers and the upper half. So I'm not including 28, but I'm looking at these numbers and these numbers. And what I can do then is find the middle of that set of data. So that would be a 22, and that would be 32. So we call the middle of the lower half the lower quartile, and the middle of the upper half is called the upper quartile, and then the median is sometimes called the middle quartile. So the lower quartile is the median of the lower half. The middle quartile is the median of the entire list, which is what we call the median, and the upper quartile is the median of the upper half. Now, if you have an even number of numbers in your list, remember that we find the median by averaging the two numbers. So in this case, what we would do is we would include the lower number into the lower quartile and the higher number into the upper quartile. So let's take a look at what that would look like. Here's an example of a list of 12 numbers. So if we're going to find the median, we would have to put 6 numbers on each side, which means the middle of my data set is right there. Okay, now to get the number for that, I'm going to have to take the average of 6 and 7, which would be 6.5. Because remember, we add the two numbers together and divide by 2. That's 13 divided by 2, which is 6.5. Okay, so let's look at finding the other quartiles. And the first thing you need to know is that if you have an even number of numbers, then the middle of your data set is not one of the numbers in your list. So what we have to do then is when we are considering finding the upper and lower quartiles, we include this 6 with the lower set of numbers, and we include the 7 with the upper set. Remember in the last example, if we had a single number, we didn't include it when we found the lower and the upper quartiles. But this time we're going to need to do it. So when I'm looking at those numbers, there are 6 numbers in each list, so the center is going to be right there and right there, which means, again, I'm going to have to find the average of these two numbers. The average of 4 and 4 obviously would be 4, and the average here would be 8.5. So this is the lower quartile. This is the upper quartile. And this would be the middle quartile, which we also call the median of the entire list. So remember, if you have an even number in your list, then you're going to be finding the average for your median, but include those two numbers when you do the calculations for the median of the remaining lists. So now we're going to make a box and whisker diagram for that first set of numbers that we were looking at. So in order to do that, I need my median of the whole list. Then I need the median of this half of the data and this half of the data. So that's 22 and 32. And then the high number and the low numbers, 12 and 35, are also important. These 5 numbers are what we need for our box and whisker plot. So let's take a look at what we're going to do here. We are going to find the range of our numbers and draw a number line that will fit those numbers. And then we're going to put a point on the number line for the lowest number and the highest number, and then also the 3 quartile numbers. We're going to label the points and draw the box between the lower and upper quartile, and then find the middle quartile. So let's look at what that's going to look like here on our example. So we need to label some numbers on our number line. So this would be the number 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. This is the number 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the number 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this would be the number 40. You need to put a few numbers on there at least. And now these are those key numbers that we calculated above. Now, when you do a box and whisker, you can either do it on the number line or you can do it above the number line. For this one, I'm going to do it above the number line so you can see exactly what it looks like. So what we're going to do is we are going to put a point for each of our key numbers. There's the 22, the 28, the 32, the 35, and I need my low number, which was 12. Then I'm going to make a box out of the middle 3 numbers, and I'm going to put a vertical line through there. So there's my box. It represents the middle half of the data. Then here is one whisker, and here's the other whisker. So what it does is it divides all of our data into 4 equal parts. This one, this one, this one, and this one. Now, I said equal, but this certainly doesn't look equal to this. So what I mean when I say equal is there are the same number of data points here, and here, and here, and here. So here's a little bit better drawing of that. And you can see on this, I've put it right on the number line. So in your assignment, you can put it right on the number line, or you can put it above your number line. Okay, now we're going to do another example. This one has a different set of data, so let's work through it. Let's count the number of numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I'm going to need to cut this in half. This would be the middle. And then this would be the middle of the lower half of data, and this would be the middle of the upper half. But now I've got to find the average of the numbers in order to make my box and whiskers. So to find the quartiles, here's the middle of my whole list, and when I find the average of those 2 numbers, it's 39.5. And now remember, if I have an even number of numbers in my list, then I'm going to include these 6 numbers as I calculate the lower quartile and these 6 numbers. So that means I'm going to have to find the average here and here for my other quartiles. So this one is going to be 29.5. And this one, if I add 46 and 50, I get 96. So the middle of that, the average of that, is 48. And then also I need my lowest number and my highest number, and these are the 5 important points for my box. So let's go down to our graph. Now in this case, since the numbers are quite spread out, we're going to label our axis go by 5s. So this would be 15, 20, 25, 30, and so forth. Okay, I'm going to draw the dots for my important numbers, and I'm just going to have to estimate as best I can where those are. So this would be about 48. Here's the 39.5, 29.5, 16, and then 70 is up here. So this time I'm doing it right on the number line. So I would have my box here with my middle 3 points, draw a vertical line through the very middle, and then draw what would be your whiskers on the sides. And there you go. I want to point out one more thing, and that is the interquartile range. That is the difference between the 48 and the 29.5. We're trying to find, it's basically finding the range of the middle of the data. Because remember, this is 25% of the data. This is another 25% and a 25% and 25%. So the middle 50%, the middle half of our data is all sandwiched between 29.5 and 48. So that's what we do if we're asked for the interquartile range. And sometimes it's called the IQR for interquartile range.